Hi everyone, it's Lynn Dion from Pink Whisper Designs. Today I've got a fun card to show you using one of the sets from the Girlfriend series. And I'll talk about that a little bit later on. But we're going to create this fantastic scene with this beautiful sky and a really pretty cobblestone walkway and this really fun fence. Let's go ahead and take a look at that stamp set. This is called the Uptown Girls Set. And you can see you get these cute little ladies. They look like they're on their way out to have a great day. And you get a couple coordinating sentiments with this set as well. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll do some stamping. I've got some Strathmore Bristol Smooth cardstock. I've got my VersaFine Onyx Black ink, which is a permanent black ink. And we'll go ahead and quickly stamp these. And I've placed that in my mini Misty stamp positioner. I'll be doing my coloring today using the Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens, and I'm starting off with Sugared Almond Pink and the Flesh color, and I'll list all of these colors in the upper left hand corner as we're going along. And I'll be using the Zig Blender pen to do my blending. To do the skin on all of these ladies the exact same way. You could certainly change that up if you wanted to. And then with the haze blue, I'm going to add a little highlight to a couple of these ladies' sunglasses. And then I'll use the beige for a couple of the others. And I'm kind of putting that color down along the bottom of the sunglasses and then pulling that up towards the top. Now I'll switch to dark pink and sugared almond pink and do the lips on a few of these ladies. And this is where it's fun. Just kind of switch things up and have some fun playing with your colors. I'll grab those same two colors to do her dress, and I'll start with that lighter sugared almond pink and add a little bit of that darker pink, and then we'll just kind of blend that out. And as I mentioned earlier, these are part of the Girlfriend series, and there's so many cute images in this series. There's this set we're using today, but there's a little set of Friends Forever, and they're all sitting on a little park bench. There's one where it's called Picture Perfect and they're taking a selfie together. There's the comfy couch. They're all on the couch. There's the wine tasters, which are all the little ladies having a glass of wine. The giant cake, which is a giant birthday cake. The Flaunt It set, where they're kind of dressed up for a little party, fancy party. So there's just lots to choose from, and they're just so much fun. And they're so much fun to color in and just play with. And you certainly don't have to use the entire image. I've done some of these girlfriends where if I don't have time to color all of the little ladies, I'll just cut out one or two of them and use it that way. So if it's just you and your best friend, you can just cut out a portion of this. Just cut it down to size. And that certainly eliminates, some of the coloring if you just don't have time to do all of it. I do enjoy the coloring process, so I don't mind. It's fun, it's relaxing. Sometimes I'll just stamp a bunch of these and then I'll just sit and color them all in. So it's really kind of an enjoyable process. So these sets do not come with the coordinating dies. We will be cutting this out though, leaving a little bit of a white border all the way around. It's some really pretty simple detail, fussy cutting. But again, just take your time and have some fun with it. Now, I did make this little lady's outfit with I wanted her shirt to be mostly white, and then I'm going to use the light blue and the ice blue to do her little pantsuit. We'll be adding some sparkle and shimmer to this too. We're going to be using the Wink of Stella glitter pen to add a little bit of shine to her blouse. And then with yellow and orange, I'll do this lady's shirt. Do keep in mind that all the products I'm using today are listed and linked down below, as well as on my blog. And I always like to remind you, if you do use those links, I do receive a small commission, but it is at no additional cost to you. It really does help to support my channel, so I really appreciate that when you use those. And all of you that do, I want to thank you. I really do appreciate it. So with this orange and yellow combination, I get a nice little kind of sherbet color on her blouse, so I really like that. And then I'll do her hat in the beige. Now again, have some fun with these, coloring these in. You could also do some paper piecing. You could stamp each of the ladies onto some patterned paper and just cut on the lines and then glue it onto the ladies for some, plaids and stripes and whatnot. So that's fun too. It's a little bit of detail and fussy cutting, but if you enjoy that, it really is kind of a nice look when you put that together. I'll keep her pants mostly white just by adding that touch of gray shadow, and I'll do the same thing for her sweater. And now I'll switch over to the orange to do her earrings. And with May green and green, let's do her top. And we'll also be using a gel pen later on, a white gel pen, to add some polka dots. You can add stripes, you can add stitching. We will add a little stitching to this top as well. And so it's a great way to kind of personalize these and just add a little pop of interest to these. So I'm going to take that darker green and kind of pull it in, just add a little bit where there's some shadowing already on the stamp, and just quickly blend that out. I thought I'd keep it fairly colorful. I didn't want to do a rainbow, so I just kind of picked sort of random colors, but I thought they all kind of complemented each other, and I thought it just made a nice pop of color on each of the ladies. But I did kind of keep bringing back in like some of the beige, some of the white, just to kind of visually keep it not too chaotic and too crazy. But you certainly could go crazy with it. You could have a lot of fun and just do a multitude of colors, or a rainbow of colors would be really fun as well. And with brown, this brown has a little bit of a reddish tint to it in the zig. So it's going to be perfect for her hair because it gives it that little bit of an auburn look to it. And then back to the beige and mid-brown to do her hair. I'll add that beige down towards the base and then kind of pull up towards the top, keeping the top of her hair the lightest. Now to switch colors, you just want to clean your blender pen off on a scrap piece of paper. And if you get too much color, you can scribble it off your image and onto your scrap paper and just lift that color off. It's really easy to do. Back to the mid-brown, I'm going to make her hair kind of a darker brown. And we'll leave that little highlight up towards the top. Now let's go to yellow and orange. And I want to just do that little set of bangles there on her arm. I'll put the orange off to the side and just kind of pull it in. So you can see how quick and easy this was to color. Really fun. And here's where I'll grab that white gel pen and I'll add some highlights to those sunglasses. A little pop on the earrings. And then for her, I'm going to add some little polka dots to her top, which will kind of bring in that white from her pants and her sweater. And then a few more little highlights. And then I am going to add a little pattern to this pink dress as well. So let's add a few little dots. I'm just going to make them little tiny dots though, just almost like little specks of color. And then we'll add some highlights to the hair and to the hat. Just have fun with this. You could certainly use colored gel pens here as well. That is also really fun to do. I'm adding a few stitches to her skirt and to her top. But any color gel pen would be really fun with this. Now here, as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to cut this out. It does not come with a coordinating die, but it's really easy just to go right around the edges and leave that little white border. I'll grab the largest die from the rectangle A2 double stitch dies from Art Impressions, and we'll go ahead and die cut that from some Strathmore 100-pound cardstock. I just put a little tiny bit of tape on the back of that paper and attached it to my Wendy Vecchi make art station. And then with the draped ribbon stencil from Fawn, we're going to start our stenciling. You can see how pretty this is. It's got kind of like a little angle on it. It's not straight lines. And I really like this. I think it just softens up our sky just a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is grab the Broken China Distress Oxide ink from Holtz. And this is a really blendable ink, so it really is easy to do your blending. I've grabbed a kind of a larger blending brush from Hero Arts, and I'm going to start off with that broken china kind of down towards the bottom. Just work my way up just a little bit. You do kind of want to work in one direction. I find it a little bit easier because the stencil can move around a little bit on you. And then I'll switch over to the tumbled glass and do a little bit of blending. Now, one way to resolve these little rays from moving around on you is to grab your pixie spray, and if you use that, you would spray it on the back of your stencil and it'll just temporarily adhere that down so you won't get any movement on your stencil at all. And then you don't have to worry about anything getting up underneath there. And that might be a good idea because we are going to be doing some spattering, and we kind of want to keep that ink in the blue area, not on the white area. So I did a little bit of blending with that tumbled glass. And I'm going to keep it kind of the lightest as I go out towards the edges. And as I was doing this, I kind of realized that I needed a little bit more of a darker shadow down towards the bottom of the stencil. So I'm going to grab a darker color. I'm going to grab that Uncharted Mariner, and I'm going to start adding that down towards the base. Again, just to have a little shadow coming up from behind these ladies, because they're going to be walking on a path in front of this, and I just thought it'd be a little more interesting if we had that little bit of a shadow. So I'll just blend right up into that broken china and just keep blending that out until I get kind of a smooth look. Next, I'll go back to that Uncharted Mariner, and I do want to, again, keep this stencil as flat as possible. I'm going to put a little bit of that ink onto my Wendy Vecchi Make Art Station, spritz that with a little bit of water from my Distress sprayer, and then with a small paintbrush, I'm going to spatter this entire panel. So again, you may want to use that pixie spray just to keep this attached to your cardstock really well while you do this. But I didn't really have any problems. And I'm going to just move those magnets a little bit so I can spatter in some of these other areas. And I don't want any spattering on the white so that we get that really kind of cool look of just having the spattering in those blue sections. Now I've got a piece of gray cardstock, and I've cut it to 5.5 inches by about 1 inch. And I'm just going to tear back and forth so I get a nice ruffled edge. That's going to be the little path for these ladies to walk on. To do that, I'm using my Watercolor Cobblestone Set. And look at all these really fun little cobblestone sets. You get bricks and the little stone path that we're going to use today. So I'm going to grab that one. I'm just going to place that onto one of my acrylic blocks, and that's from the Watercolor Travel Box from Art Impressions. I'll grab that largest one, and we'll just attach that and do some quick stamping. Going back to that VersaFine Onyx Black ink, but I didn't want it to be jet black. So I tapped off a little bit of that black, and we'll stamp that second generation stamping onto this panel. You could certainly use a gray here as well. But we will be coloring in those little rocks just really quickly, just to give them a little bit more shadow, a little bit more interest. I'm just kind of filling in some of those open areas. I'll grab my Hickory Smoke Distress Oxide first, and we'll go right across that top edge. Just kind of blend that in a little bit. And then I'm switching over to the black soot to go around all 3 sides, the bottom and the 2 sides. We'll come back to this a little bit later, but I started off with this little bit of a shadow, and then I'm going to color some of these in, well actually most of these little rocks in with the dark gray. You can see I'm just adding a little bit of that dark gray right around the edges. I'm using it on the left side, and I'm just going to pull it over to the right and up towards the top. That'll give a little shadow to each of these little rocks, and it really adds a lot to this. It gives it a more realistic look. And that's where I came back in with the black soot and added a little bit more of a shadow. Going back to the stamp set, I'm going to grab that sentiment there that says "Get your party on," and that'll be centered right at the top of this panel for our sky. So let's go ahead and place that back in the MISTI. And again, we're going to stamp that in that same black ink. You can stamp this a couple of times if you need to. You want to get a nice crisp stamping on that. Now let's grab this really pretty wrought iron fence. This is from the Watercolor Arbor set, and I die cut that from some black 100-pound cardstock. I'm using my Spellbinder's tool-in-one. It's got that little bristle edge to pop out all those little pieces. Then it's got this little pointy tip that we can use to kind of poke that out. This makes it really quick and easy to remove that die. And then let's pop up this little stone path right at the very bottom. And then I'm going to do a row of this fence right behind this. I'm using little dots of glue from my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive, and I am going to fill in this entire background. So I will butt that next fence up right against this one, and then I did die cut one more fence so I could add that little piece at the end. Let's also pop up these little ladies. I'm using some craft foam tape, and I'll use plenty of it along the back. But down where their feet are, I'm just going to put a little dot of glue because they're going to be sitting on that little cobblestone path. So everything will be nice and level. So let's pop those little ladies in place, and look how cute this is. It's really starting to come together. This is a great card for you and your girlfriends. Everybody just seems to love these little ladies. And now let's go ahead. I took a gray, 100-pound cardstock, and I cut it to an A2 size, so it's 5.5 by 4.25. And I'm just going to pop this right on, and it'll fit perfectly on this card. And then I've got some Pink Fresh Studio gems. These are the clear drops, and they're called iridescent. So they're really going to give a little bit of shimmer and bring in some of those colors. They really are pretty, very delicate. So I added those, and then I'm going back to that wink of Stella, and I'm going to add some glitter to all of their sunglasses. I'll add a little bit to that flower on her dress and to her little purse. Some of the shoes, and then as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to add it to her little white top, so it really kind of has a really sparkly look to it. A little bit more on some of the jewelry. And then once that was done, let's take that second largest die from that same rectangle A2 double stitch die set, and I'm trying to find a sentiment for the inside. I've got the birthday sentiment set, and I've got the mini birthday sentiment set. Both of these are great. They have lots of really great sentiments. It's fun to kind of mix and match these, so I thought I'd show them both to you. I picked a couple of sentiments for the inside of the card, and I stamped them out, and it says, "It's your day, celebrate big." So I thought I'd glue that panel to the inside of the card, and I just stamped those in that same black ink. So let's take a closer look at the finished card. And again, I just think these little ladies are so much fun, and there's so many collections of these girlfriends in the series. Again, I'll have links below for you so you can check that out if you'd like. And I really hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you don't miss a single video. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you all have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.